All right, I am checking. Okay, I think I'm live. This always happens. We never know when exactly we're live. All right, we are currently live on the YouTube and oops, hold on. There we go. Now we're ready. Hi everyone. Today I am taking over from Samantha. I mean, I know I'm usually here anyway, but it's just me today. And I am really excited for today's interview. She is a director and playwright and actor and an activist and all sorts of things. But first, before we get to her, I want to get through some announcements. So let's look at the announcements, shall we? First off, we have our very own Kentwood Players member, Daniel Kruger, has done the costumes for the Culver City Park Theater production of Sherlock Holmes Meets the Bully of Baker Street. So that's going to be really exciting. It is a family-friendly Zoom production directed by Marina Tidwell. There are going to be 6 performances from September 9th through September 20th. Admission is free, but donations are encouraged, and we will you can email marketing for a link to that reservation if you'd like to make a reservation for that. Also coming up, we have the annual Kentwood Players Music Hall. Anybody is welcome to attend. If you are a member or have been in a show in the past year, you are welcome to participate. If you'd like to participate, you can either email Roy Okita. If you don't have his email, then you can email us, marketing@kentwoodplayers.org, if you want to participate in the music hall. Also coming up is a Little Renegades Productions production of She Kills Monsters Virtual Realms, which will be on September 26th and September 27th. Little old me, I'm gonna be in the cast. I'm playing Steve, so that's gonna be really exciting. And we will get you a ticket link for you very soon. The last thing that we have is what is it? Give me one moment. Oh, last thing is the virtual play series that we are starting very soon here at Kentwood. If you have a script that you'd like to be an original script that you'd like to be produced here at Kentwood virtually, email us, and it has to be a maximum of six characters between 10 to 15 minutes or a max of 30 minutes, but we'd like to keep you between 10 and 15. And it has to be written and to be performed specifically for Zoom or any other virtual meeting application. So that will be starting up very soon, and we're really excited about that. So if you're interested in that, make sure you email plays@kentwoodplayers.org. And I think that is all for the announcements. So I'm really excited because this woman is not only my roommate, but one of my closest friends. She is extremely talented. And like I said earlier, she is a playwright, a director, an actor, a dancer, an activist, and she also started her own club on campus. She is also a student at Loyola Marymount University, like I am. And so I am really excited to welcome to the interview Kennedy Smith.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited for you to be here too. She's also literally in the next room over. We're just doing this over Zoom because that's how we've done
That's
all of
how,
it.
that's how we're doing things.
That's just how we're doing things in 2020, I guess. But I'm really excited to have you here. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. So the way that we start all of these interviews is by going through your backstory. I call it your origin story. And so I want to ask you, what originally gave you the theater bug? What originally got you started with this whole crazy theater world?
Okay. So I mean, born and raised in Washington State, not a lot to do. I was on my high school's dance team for a bit. I was always a dancer and singer first and kind of that only until I was 14 and I suffered a knee injury in which I had to get surgery. I was out of dance for 6 months and eventually dance just kind of didn't feel the same. I didn't get that same rush, that same sense of enjoyment. So my still one of my good friends to this day, Ashton, she told me, "Hey, come audition for this play." And that was the first time in a long time where I felt free and myself and I was able to breathe. And I kind of just kept up with it because I love that feeling of being on stage. I love that feeling of performing and just letting all else go away. So yeah, it's kind of my origin story.
So what was that first play that you performed in?
Miss Nelson is missing, like the children's book. I
Oh
was
my gosh. I don't think I knew this actually. That's awesome. I'm glad that that's the show that made you decide this is it.
me too. It was a great show. I was Elvis, so I had a great leather jacket. It was a
Obviously.
great time.
It's great. And like I mentioned earlier, you go to school for theater. You actually go to school with me at LMU. And so what originally made you want to pursue this either as a career or at least just in school?
Yeah. So when I originally thought that I wanted to go to college for theater, I'm like, I'm only going to be an actor. Acting is my thing. I'm going to be famous. Ah ha ha ha. But I think it was my play senior year of high school, Stand Deliver, based on the true story of Jaime Escalante and in East LA. And that just kind of made me realize that like this isn't just art, this is a means of changing people's lives. And that was something I want to keep up with forever in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, that's kind of it. Just always having the ability to change lives with art.
So how have the what first off, what made you choose to come to LA for theater? Because I know we've talked about this before on this show. A lot of people don't really think of LA as like a theater town. They think of it as like, oh, Hollywood and film. But there is so much theater here in LA. There's so many little small community theaters, obviously like us, but it really is a theater town too. So what made you decide you wanted to go here?
The biggest thing for me was I felt like I just get different kind of experiences with acting in general because I'm like, oh, maybe I want to try film acting, maybe I want to try XYZ. I just felt like the connections I make in Los Angeles would be more valuable than anywhere else. So kind of took a leap of faith after my tour. I'm like, I'm going to LMU, go Lions.
Yeah, definitely. So now that you're in school for theater, how have the classes that you've been taking and the people here, how have they kind of influenced where you want to go with theater, either as a career or wherever you want to take it? Has it changed it at all?
It definitely has, and it's also just like the world around us. I mean, when I started LMU, started school at LMU, I was very much focused on acting, and that was going to be my thing. That was going to be all that I did. And then I just got so much joy being behind the scenes and watching the process and being a part of the creative process instead of just kind of living through it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love acting. I will always and forever be an actor. But I just found so much more joy and so much more satisfaction with writing and directing and assistant stage managing. I mean, I assistant stage managed a play my freshman year, and I just loved watching the production of Intimate Apparel go from nothing to something amazing. And at LMU, they really train us to be well-rounded artists. I mean, I took a costume craft class, and I hate sewing, but it did teach me something. So,
Yeah.
but also like our history courses, they are they're not the best, but they have we talked about this, but I mean, they have allowed me to read more plays and just kind of broaden my knowledge on theater. Because when I started at LMU, I had a very narrow-minded mindset about theater, but yeah, I mean, I just kind of wish I learned about different kinds of theater. I guess we've talked about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think definitely one of like the good things, definitely one of the positives about going to school for theater is that it is kind of a safe place for you to try things you never in your life would have thought about trying and might not get the chance to try again.
Exactly.
So, like costuming for you, like you might not have ever done that before or
Yeah.
even thought about it, but it's like because they make you take a class, you could have like realized that you really love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, you even said it. It's like you realize you found these other additional parts of theater that you're just as passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of done the same thing. I've also found that not that I didn't do this production at school, but just the idea of being here was stage managing. And I've mentioned this before, but I stage managed Little Women here at Kentwood, and I love it, and I really want to do it again. And I definitely feel that what you say about watching it go from like the very early stages of just literally just reading it from a book to the lights and the sound effects and all the sets going in and out and all the people are actually doing supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing and it's It's really great. It's just such a different experience than like being on stage and worrying about your one part or whoever else is on stage with you.
Yeah.
It's great. So I want to ask you, oops, I want to ask you, what was the first thing that you actually wrote? Did you write anything before you went to LMU, or was going to college something that kind of sparked this?
I mean, I was always kind of a spoken word artist. I loved poetry. I loved writing poetry, and like I won my school talent show senior year with a spoken word piece I wrote called "Me." Performed it at my first open mic at LMU. But my first play I wrote it in college. I never considered myself a playwright until I took Beth Henley's class, and I saw myself
Beth
as a.
Henley, I'm taking her class right now.
I love
Really
Beth
excited.
Henley. The class is still my favorite at LMU.
Playwriting was your favorite class at LMU?
Yes, by far.
So are you writing anything right now? Not that you have to give all the details, but what are you working on right now in terms of your writing?
Yeah, so right now, for theater in color, we are having a night of Black excellence where we are just celebrating Black lives, Black joy, Black art. I have two potential play options for that. I'm still kind of going back and forth. One is called Conversations in the Sky, and that is about people such as Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, Tatiana Jefferson, just watching the world below them and seeing them finally get justice. I kind of wrote that from a place of hope and hope that hopefully justice will come soon. I don't know when, but I got to be patient.
Right.
And my other one that I just started working on today, actually, it's called Joy, and it's about all of these Black people who graduate from college together. They're coming together, and they're superintendents of school districts. They're lawyers. There are all these people in high power, happy positions, and they're just happy. They're getting together after not seeing each other for a long time. And I really just want to emphasize Black joy and seeing people like me in positions of power and positions of leadership.
Right. I think that's so powerful, especially for right now. And we're gonna get into your club theater in color, which I think is so awesome that you did that. But I think that's just it's so timely and so powerful. But at the same time, like I don't think that those themes are gonna go away.
Yeah.
And they've always been there too. So it's
Mhm.
timeless, as people say, you know. Um, so I also want to talk about what was the first thing that you directed and what was the thing that made you want to say, okay, I want to keep doing this too.
The first thing I ever directed was a spoken word piece that I wrote for my school's New Works Festival, my freshman year. You were actually a part of it, and
Who was? Oh, little old me.
just little you.
Just
That was
little old
the
me.
first time I ever thought like I have ideas. I have ideas, and I want to see them play out. And I think it was just I don't know which rehearsal it was. It's one of our last rehearsals where like everything started coming together, and you all were working so well together as a unit, and it sounded like music. It sounded so good. And I'm like, okay, I can do this for a long time. I love this. I love having this ability.
Yeah, it was so different from anything I had ever done before, and I think that just what you wrote was it was so personal to each of us because you asked us questions and like really deep personal questions that we had to think about. And so it felt really specific. I mean that in a good way. I it
Yeah, no, I know.
felt, it felt so specific to each of us, but then at the same time it was like the language that you ultimately ended up using was really I know this is cliched, but it's really universal in its specificity. And I think that's
Yeah,
just I know we were talking about directing, but also just the directing too about focusing on making sure that this is spoken word, it's not dialogue. And I think that was
yeah,
definitely the distinction that made that piece so much different than all the other ones that were at that festival. So
yeah.
it was such a unique experience to be a part of. And so I want to ask you, what kind of shows when in the future when you want to direct, um,
Mhm.
because right now it's a little difficult. But in the future,
Sure.
when you want to direct, what kind of shows tend to catch your eye, or what do you kind of gravitate towards in terms of storytelling or characters?
Um, at the moment, I'm kind of gravitating towards works of people like Dominique Morisseau. Again, it's just seeing people like me and having myself being represented. Like right now, I'm really thinking about directing Blood at the Root. A lot of just those social justice stories, stories of Black excellence, Black lives, just kind of uplifting people and giving voices to the voiceless, if you will.
Right. I think that's great. We've talked about like what are the dream shows that we want to direct all the time, and it's like
Yeah,
we are so different. I am like the kind of person who's like, I want to direct Mamma Mia, and then you are like, I want to direct something that's actually about something. I'm like,
I'm like, I want to direct In the Heights.
right, right. But I think that that's so important is that those shows are still really entertaining and really dramatic and funny and all of these other things, but they're also really are about something. And I
Yeah.
think that those stories are so important to be told, and especially so important to be told by like a black director.
Hmm.
And by you know what I mean? Like it's just I don't need to tell
I know
you.
what you're talking about because we've had these
We've had
conversations.
these conversations so many times, but it just is like I feel like this is like a different context, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Um, So I am really excited to see because I know that you haven't done like a fully staged like play or musical or anything yet. I'm so excited to see what you end up doing with that. I think it's going to be really personal to you, whatever you end up doing. I think everyone who directs something is going to do something personal, but I think for you specifically, whatever you do is going to be so personal, and because of that, it's going to be really good.
Thank you.
So what part, I know this is such a vague question and I kind of already asked this, but when you are directing or when you hope to direct, what are kind of the things that you want to focus on in the storytelling?
Mhm. I also want to focus on. That's a great question. You're asking the right questions. Um, I kind of
Like
just
what
take.
are your goals when you want to when you take a story and you're at the beginning part of it, what is ultimately going to be your goal for that story?
I'm also gonna just take advice from like directors I've worked with. Um, like I don't want to say like I want to change the world with my directing, but that's kind of what I just want to
I mean,
expose.
why not?
I know. I just want to expose people to different kinds of stories. I feel like the media and the art that we're very accustomed to is all the same. We never get anything different. So I just want to find new ways to bring new stories to light, basically.
Right. Yeah, that's something that's so important, and it's something that you can do with stories that have been told a million times. I mean, look at
Exactly.
like the new Oklahoma. They took the exact same script that has been done for 70 years and did something so completely different and timely and modern and just so awesome with it. If you haven't like looked into the new Oklahoma revival, you have to go do it because I love the original Oklahoma, but the revival is also just like such a it's just such an experiment in storytelling itself and just saying these are the exact same words that these people wrote 70 years ago, but such a completely different
Yeah,
interpretation of it.
I like that.
Yeah, and I love when directors can do that, when they can take something that's been done a million times before and can make it new again, you
Yeah.
know? That's
Mhm.
something that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
So now I kind of want to pivot to something I'm really excited to talk to you about, because I know you're really busy with it and you've been talking about it a lot and you're so passionate about it. So I want to talk about this club that you've created on campus at LMU called Theater in Color. So what originally inspired you to want to start this club?
Yeah, so I was taking playwriting with my really good friend Jessica Dickerson. We had assistant stage managers, we had class together. She's just a ray of sunshine. I love her. And she had been kind of feeling the same way that I have been, where like I feel unheard, I feel unsupported, I feel like like I'm like I'm a black girl in a sea of white actors. Like I have no one. So she one day in class she came up to me and said, "Hey, how would you feel about helping me start this club for theater students of color who like have a safe place, who have a place to get resources and come together and just work on things together?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in. Sign me up. When do we start?" And it was us, my good friend Juan Bernal, and my friend Cecile, and we were kind of the first e-board, if you will. We all just kind of felt that as people of color, we weren't supported in the theater department. So we kind of took matters into our own hands and formed this club that was just going to be a safe place to, talk about the hard, the hard subjects, but also learn from one another and grow from one another and get resources for, auditions, monologues, all of the above, because like when you're auditioning, you want to use an authentic monologue, you want to do something that resonates with you. Like honestly, something from For Color Girls Who Considered Suicide, my go-to monologue. But that's kind of all I have. So just finding new ways to audition and finding resources. That's kind of our goal, just to form community in the theater department. I mean, we always felt like we were kind of otherized. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about these similar kind of subjects before on the show, and I don't think we've really covered it in a school environment. And I think that that's definitely it is a specific topic, but it is so important because so many people do go through theater in college and they have similar experiences as you do. And I think that that's really important that you are creating that safe space for people, and that's why I was really excited to talk to you about it. So, what I also love that you're like, hey, let's look for monologues because I know for me, I refuse to even look for monologues, so I think that
I
that's
know.
great that you're creating that community to find
Yeah.
monologues for those people.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys working on anything right now?
So right now we're working on our Night of Black Excellence. It'll be streamed via YouTube in late October. In light of the Black Lives Matter movement, we just found it very important to uplift Black voices through art. I going back and forth on plays. Our vice president Elise has written a play. Brooklyn and I are both doing our own individual performances, and we've recruited people who may not have seen themselves as actors or who may not have gotten cast in LMU production, but have lost their spot to someone else. So again, we're just giving Black artists a space to be artists and not feel like they're losing to anyone else.
Right. Oh my gosh, I just completely blanked. I'm so sorry. That's awesome. Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. Is this open to the public or is this just for students, faculty, people from LMU?
Oh yeah, like I would honestly love for other people to see it, but like auditions and everything like that, that is just
Right.
like the LMU community serving the students with the students, yada yada yada, club president things. But yeah, I would love for other people to see it. We've all worked really hard to put this together. Honestly, I love my e-board to death. We've all taken so much initiative with this. We've done this with some support, not as much as we wish we had, but we're really doing this. So we'd love for people to see it.
That's awesome. Remind me, what night is that? Because if it is like a few weeks in the future, we can put that in our announcements so that we can maybe get some people who watch this live stream to come see it.
Yeah, it'll be October 24th and 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, just because, people are everywhere,
Right.
pandemic, Zoom. Yeah. So 5 p.m. Pacific Time.
That's awesome. I will try to get that into the announcements,
Thank
which
you.
basically is up to me and Samantha. So I'm sure we can, we can put it in there. So that's really awesome. So in terms of something that you brought up really interested me in terms of you might feel like you could have gotten more support from people at the school. So this is something that I'm interested in doing. Um, in the casting process, how do you feel that that we can create a more welcoming environment for people of color who feel that they aren't welcome there? Because I think what ends up happening is people are like, well, they didn't, we didn't get a lot of people of color audition, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
So, do you feel that there is anything, what can you do to make that space more welcoming for people of color to come and audition and feel like they're really going to be heard?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing with, like, for example, in the Heights was like I wasn't just a statistic. I wasn't just X number of people of color in a production. I was a person of value. I was an artist of value. And that's something that's really important to me. While with other productions, I feel like, I'm like, oh, you asked for a Black girl. Here I am. And I feel like people of color are having a hard time auditioning because they don't see themselves on stage. That's the biggest thing. Like there was a production at LMU where there were 30 some men, 3 women, and 2 of the men were Black. And looking at that, I'm like, okay, I don't see any Black men auditioning for anything in the future, and that's why they don't see
Right.
themselves. or they think that they will always be lesser than a white actor. And we see the same people, very talented people, getting cast in things, but it's also like there's always someone else. Like a
Right.
lot of people stick to people they're comfortable with, and that's okay. But personally, I'd rather try someone new and get to know them
Right.
and train them and tell a story with them, rather than just stick to what's comfortable.
Right.
So a lot of it's just who people are comfortable with. It
Yeah.
sucks. That's all I can say.
Right. I mean, here's how Samantha had explained it to me, and this was like I felt the thing that really shined a light on it to me was that a director or producer or casting agent anywhere will look at two actors and one will be white and one will be non-white.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will look at the white one and they'll say, well, they're pretty good. We'll go with that one. But if the
Mm-hmm.
non-white one is pretty good, they're not going to go with that one. They have to be exceptional. They have to be like a standout, and then maybe they'll get recognized.
Exactly.
And that's how Samantha explained it to me, and that's the way it made sense to me. And it really shined a light on it to me. And I've seen that in not only casting and not only theater, but I see it in just the general public in terms of like how they view movies or
Yeah.
anything. So I think I might have mentioned this on the show before, I forgot, but a movie like Black Panther or a movie like Wonder Woman has to be the best movie ever for it to be recognized in any way. It has to be nominated for Oscars. It has to break box office records. But something like, I don't know, Thor or Captain America or Spider-Man, not to hate on those movies, but they don't have to be as good for people to recognize them as good. So it's something that I think you and I obviously agree on is like something we need to work on. Like, and casting people who need to stretch and need that experience.
Mm-hmm. Like what
So,
frustrates me is, oh sorry.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
Like what frustrates me is how like people want you to have so much experience, but you can't get experience if you don't get cast. That's all I was gonna say.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like how are you gonna get these people to get any more experience or get better or grow or stretch if you're not allowing them to stretch themselves?
Exactly.
Like I was just casting something that a project that I'm working on, and the person was like, "Oh, do you want me to like send in a reel or anything?" Because I didn't know this person, but it was like through a friend of a friend, and
Yeah.
like they vouched for me. So I was like, "Well, that's kind of enough." If they're not the best actor ever, then I can give them that experience, you know? Like I think that's just what we got to do sometimes. Just say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, just give them the experience, you know?
Yeah.
Let me pull up my notes because my phone closed.
Love that for
Ha
you.
ha ha. We're hysterical, I swear.
We spent
So
too much time
we
together.
talked about your writing. Oh, sorry, what?
We spent too much time together.
My gosh, I swear. So we talked about your writing and directing, and we talked about your theater in color, which is something I so admire, and I'm so excited to watch the Night of Black Excellence. Sorry, I am
Thank
very
you.
parched right
You're
now.
fine.
But that's really exciting to me. So usually the way that we kind of end out these, usually this ends up going on much longer than we expect, but um, usually the way we end out these is with stories from your theater past. It doesn't have to be about directing or writing or with your club. It can be any theater experience. So, what is your favorite theater memory? I know it's a big question to drop on you, but
So hard. Um, I have like two, like that are like tied. So I'm gonna sum them up both really quick. The first one was Newark's, our freshman year, because my um, grand big in my sorority, she came to watch, and I love her, but she's very like hard exterior, doesn't really cry. Like that was, and after my piece, she started crying, and she's like, "That was beautiful." And like Tiffany, you never cry, and she's like, "I know, but it was so good. And I'm so proud of you." So I don't know why that's a favorite memory of mine, but it is. And then my second
No,
favorite,
I mean it's great whenever it's something that you've created has moved something that much. Like obviously that's gonna be like a great memory.
and I'm like, she's a Scorpio and she never cries. So I'm like, oh, I made you emotional. And my second favorite would probably be just In the Heights in general. The table read was like from start to finish, it was just so much fun. The table read, I was with so many of my closest friends and I was seeing them in lead roles and just getting to be themselves wholeheartedly. And it was just kind of one of those performances that reminded me why I do theater and why I act and why I tell stories. Plus the dancing, it was so fun. I would give anything to.
Oreo and that show was excellent.
I
It
would
was
do
so good.
anything to do Carnival again. I favorite number, but yeah, those are my top
Yeah,
two.
was that the I don't know that show 100%. Is that the end of Act One?
That was Blackout. That was the club. The club was
Oh,
fun,
okay.
except for my costume with the purple dress and the orange shoes.
It was the two. It's like what 2004 or something. Like
2008.
2008, same thing.
But the club and Blackout were so much fun. But
That was my favorite part. That part was oh so good. It was excellent.
I miss In the Heights. So yeah, those are my top two theater memories.
So, okay, we usually don't ask this question, but I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, and I just want to ask, what are some kind of dream shows or dream roles that you'd like to do?
Um,
Because we focus so much on writing and directing in your club, and I'm like, let's throw some acting in there too, because I know you do that too.
if I could play anyone, I would love to play Angelica in Hamilton.
Yes, obviously.
Thank you, thank you. Either like I can't see myself as Eliza, but either Angelica or Peggy and Mariah Reynolds. I don't know
Mhm.
why those two, but yes. I would love to play Nina in the Heights.
Yeah,
That's like who I am back home. I'm the girl who
yeah.
got away. Um, I just love to be in Chicago. That's it. I don't care who. I just love
Oh my
Chicago.
gosh. See, you know that's my favorite
I
musical.
know it is,
You
and
know
I'm
that's my favorite. Okay, look, well, when I am directing it at any point in the future, I will hit you up. Obviously, I'll hit you up, but like, I
pleased.
will let you know.
Good. And a show I'd love to direct. I would love to direct In the Heights, obviously. What else would I love to
I'd
direct?
love to see you direct that show. It's a great
Oh,
show.
it's so good. That's like the only. Oh, that and Blood at Three by Dominique Morisseau, of course. Just anything by her, I love. She also wrote this amazing play Pipeline that I really want to direct at LMU for a stage reading, hopefully. But yeah, those are kind of like my top two. Dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I kind of want to move to the flip side of theater because, anything can happen. Sometimes great things happen, sometimes shenanigans happen. So, do you have any debacles that you'd like to share that have happened in your theater experience? You don't have to say names. You don't have to like if this is like about somebody specific, like you don't have to.
It's not a lot of them are like about me, so it's fine because I'm a mess when it comes to rehearsal, but I'm good. So my the first play of my senior year of high school, we did the show called The Bold, the Young, and the Murdered, and I played a much older woman named Sybil. I had this gray wig, and keep in mind, I had never worn a wig before, and I was like just starting to get comfortable with my curly hair again.
Hmm.
So I put my wig cap on, and then I put the wig on, and like a couple volume things, so I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. And then there's one scene where like I'm laying down in a hospital bed and I jolt up, and then so the first time we were running it with costume, I lay down, I jolt up, my wig's gone. My wig is gone. And I just hear people laughing. I'm like, what's going on? And so I just fixed my wig, like nothing happened.
That is hysterical.
So, but now I know how to put a wig on, so it was a learning experience.
Great. Obviously, it's always a learning experience. Whenever something wacky like that happens, it never happens again.
I have like two more. I'll keep them short.
No, absolutely. This is honestly sometimes it's my favorite part. So please tell me.
So for Stand and Deliver, I had like a small like kissing scene with someone, and they had,
Ooh.
yeah, it was yeah, no big deal. Great show, loved it. I miss my costume for that show the most. I had this like yellow sparkly turtleneck
Ooh.
and mom jeans, and then these little brown heels. That's my favorite costume of all time.
That's awesome.
I have pictures of it somewhere. But there was one performance in particular where his girlfriend came and like I just got in a relationship. I was chilling, but after intermission, because we had to kiss again in the second act. He's like, "Hey, my girlfriend's really mad at me. Can we like not kiss?" I'm like, "It's in the script. We kind of have to. I'm sorry. Like I don't know what to do." And he didn't tell the director. So when it came time for that other moment, I was like really into it. We were arguing, and then I go in for a kiss. He goes in for a hug. I'm just like,
Oh gosh.
we're back together. So that was really like that wasn't bad. It was just now that I look back on it, I'm like, wow.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me. When I did the Addams Family back in a past life, and all of 2 years ago. Oh God, that was only 2 years ago. Anyway, my crisis right now at the age of 20. We were doing like one of the last blocking rehearsals, and I was playing Lucas, and Lucas and Wednesday Addams get married at the end. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, of course.
So, what happened? Okay, so we were at a rehearsal and it was in high school and it was a very religious high school. And so the director was like, okay, so now you'll hug. And I turned to her and I'm like,
You
we're,
made a hug
we're
right.
getting married. Can we at least have like the smallest kiss of all time?
Yeah,
And first off, everyone looked at me in shock because they were like, wait, he's asking to kiss the girl? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an actor. Like, what? It's just written in the script.
exactly.
I don't know, but they were like, yeah, I guess let's do it. It was hysterical. And what's the last story you have?
It's like two in one because they're both about In the Heights. There was one
I'm
part
so
in In the
excited.
Heights where it was after one song, and two other girls and I we came out, we were talking, and then my friend walked by, who's a guy, and I like waved and I'd flirt with him, and he would do something different every night. Do you remember this? Did you ever see this part? It was like
Wait,
in the first act.
the only thing I remember something seeing, okay, with our friend Aiden Flaherty. Was it that?
No, it was Noah.
Oh, it was Noah Bradley. Oh my gosh.
It was Aurelia and Natalie, and we were like, and then Noah would walk by and just like,
Wait,
he
but were y'all all the way on stage left at this point?
I, I don't. I'm 20 years old. I don't remember. I think so. I don't remember. I was with Aurelia and Natalie, and then but Noah would do something different every night, and so I'd flirt with him. Sometimes he'd do this, but one night I was like prepared for that. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he's like, I'm like, I started laughing on stage. I'm like,
My gosh.
and then probably like one of our first rehearsals for the club with heels.
Oh gosh.
Because I was so used to my character shoes. But then I'm in these big orange wedges and we're running it over and over and over again. I'm like, I can't walk. And then I had to go to sorority recruitment practice. So
Perfect. It's just a
it was
great.
great.
Well, because that scene you're like running around the whole time for 15
Yeah.
minutes. Like it's
And
ridiculous.
I'm like, sometimes I'm in the front dancing, or needless to say, I got a good workout. I didn't have to work out for a while.
No, it's awesome. Honestly, every time I do a show, I'm like, oh, yes, I don't have to work out.
Exactly.
Like, especially when I did like the Wild Party back at the Morgan Wixon several months ago before COVID hit. I was like, Act One is just dancing.
Good.
It's just dancing for 2 hours. So it was like by the end of the third dance number in a row, you're like,
Yeah.
it's like you cannot get a breath.
I'm just being tired from dancing.
Oh my gosh, it is hysterical. I honestly the dance numbers are sometimes my favorite numbers to do, but they are exhausting. But yeah, I honestly love those debacle stories. Some are funny, some are debacles. So I love hearing them. Very last question that I have for you tonight, and this is a very general question. It could be directed to other playwrights, other directors, other whatever, but do you have any advice for people who are budding playwrights, budding directors like yourself, or who want to also pursue theater in college? Do you have any advice for those kinds of people?
Yeah, I have a couple pieces of advice just because I mean I'd say I'm a well-rounded artist.
I would say you are too.
My biggest thing is don't let anyone else dictate your work or how you feel about your work. That's something I actually learned this week. But as long as you know that your work is good and you are content with your work and you know your intentions behind your work, you're okay. What other people say really doesn't matter.
Definitely.
Never stop auditioning. Like again, the amount of times I auditioned before got into something in college, astronomical.
Astronomical.
Astronomical. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. I mean, I didn't think I was a playwright or a director. I was so focused on acting when I came to college, and I kind of wasn't open minded. I was just like, no, I'm only gonna stick to acting. I'm gonna be an actress. I'm gonna be famous. No, no. Broaden your horizons.
Right.
And like that's kind of it. I think I was gonna say
Yeah.
something else because like I'm not just a theater major. I also have my two minors, and I want to go to law school, even though I'm getting my bachelor's
Mhm.
degree in theater. But I
Which is
mean,
amazing.
thank you. I mean, you can always do theater. You can always have your passion projects. So
Right.
that's kind of
Right.
my last piece of advice. Always have your passion projects.
That's also stuff that I've learned. Even we've only been in college for 2 years, but it's definitely things that I've learned as well. And it's definitely such good advice for people who are coming into college. Like if people would have told me that 2 years ago, I feel like I would be so much less stressed than I am right now.
Same, same.
Like the amount of times I have auditioned and said I'm never auditioning again, and then 2 days later I'm at another audition. It's
Yeah, us
astronomical.
us freshman year. That was literally us freshman year.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I auditioned for about 4 or 5 things at LMU in a week.
I
My
remember
first
that.
week in college. And didn't get into any of them. And then I found this audition for this place called Kentwood Players and I was like, let me go. And then now I'm hosting a live show for them every
Full,
week. So weird things happen. So
full circle moment.
it's a moment. It's really a moment. But it was so great talking to you and learning more about theater and color. We're definitely going to be promoting your A Night of Black Excellence here in the announcements at the beginning of every interview. So that's going to be really great. Loved hearing about your playwriting and directing experience, and also just love your stories. I always love the stories, but yours are hysterical.
Thank you.
So I'm so glad you got to join us tonight, and we will see you guys next time. I actually have no clue who we're interviewing next. Usually Samantha has an idea, but I'm like, I don't know. So you're just gonna have to tune in to watch the next episode to see who we're interviewing. So thank you so much, Kennedy, for joining us. I hope we get to see you on the Kentwood stage or somewhere at any time in the future. We will
Probably.
definitely welcome you.
Probably.
I am gonna be your cheerleader for you. So.
Same for you. I love
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a great night. And join us next week when we interview somebody. Bye, guys. All right. I never know how to end these.